Sometimes, life hides its biggest lessons in the smallest places, like a quiet corner store on an ordinary afternoon. The line was long, the air smelled like coffee and rain, and that's where it happened. A test of kindness that nobody saw coming. A tired man stood at the counter, holding a small drink and a pack of paper sheets. His hands shook slightly as he counted his coins. $1.50, the cashier said flatly. He nodded, searching his pockets again. The woman behind the counter sighed loudly. "If you don't have the money, sir, don't waste our time. Take off the yogurt and the cookie, too." People behind him began to whisper. He looked down, ashamed, removing each item quietly until only the drink remained. At that moment, a voice broke the silence. "I'll cover it," someone said softly. It was Alejandra, a young woman holding a folder and a warm smile. The cashier rolled her eyes. "Ma'am, you don't have to do that." Alejandra just smiled. "I know, but that's exactly why I want to." The man froze, unsure how to react. "Miss, I can't accept that." She shook her head. "Then call it a loan you'll never have to repay." He hesitated, then took the drink. "Thank you," he said quietly. "God bless you." The cashier scoffed. "You people just get used to free things." Alejandra turned to her, her voice calm but steady. Or maybe some of us just refuse to get used to watching others struggle. The man left the store with a quiet dignity, clutching his drink like it was gold. And Alejandra, she didn't know it yet, but that one small act of kindness would change her life forever. 2 days passed. The world kept moving. Same streets, same faces, same rush. But for Alejandra, something about that man stayed in her mind. His quiet, "Thank you." The way he held that drink as if it meant more than money ever could. That afternoon, as she left the office, she saw him again, sitting outside a small cafe, fixing an old pair of shoes with a piece of wire. "Hey," she said, smiling, "the man from the store." He looked up, surprised. "And you? The angel from the counter." She laughed softly. "Angel, that's new." He shrugged. "To me, that's what you were." Up close, he looked even more worn out. His jacket was faded, his hands rough, the kind of hands that had built things, lost things, and still tried anyway. "What happened to you?" she asked gently. He sighed. "I lost my job. Been looking for weeks, but no one's hiring. Guess I'm not exactly in demand." She hesitated for a moment, then said, "At the company where I work, we're looking for a janitor. It's not much, but I could recommend you." He blinked, unsure if she was serious. "You'd do that? For me?" "Yes," she said. "For someone who hasn't forgotten how to say thank you." He looked down, voice quiet. "I don't understand. Why help a stranger?" She smiled. "Because once, someone helped me when I had nothing. And that's how kindness keeps going. One person at a time." He nodded slowly. "My heart tells me yes, to trust you." "Then let's go," she said. "You have an interview to win." As they walked together down the crowded street, neither of them noticed the gray luxury car parked nearby, and the man inside, watching with quiet curiosity. The next morning, Alejandra arrived early. She had promised Julian she would help him, and she meant it. He showed up right on time, shirt washed, hair combed back, eyes full of quiet hope. He didn't look like much to others, but there was something in the way he stood. Humble, but not broken. They walked into the lobby of Moke Studios, the company Alejandra worked for. The walls gleamed. The floor was marble. Everything screamed success and silence. Behind the counter stood Damaris, her co-worker, wearing an expensive perfume and an expression sharper than glass. "What are you doing here with him?" she asked. Alejandra smiled politely. He's applying for the janitor position. Damaris crossed her arms. Not today. The owner's coming, and I don't want a beggar cleaning the floors while he's here. Julian looked at her calmly. I'm not a beggar, miss. Whatever you are, she snapped. You don't belong here. Alejandra's smile faded. You're not the owner, Damaris. When the manager's not here, I make the decisions, Damaris shot back. Before things escalated, the manager walked in. He looked tired, holding a stack of reports. What's going on? Alejandra spoke quickly. Sir, you mentioned we needed a janitor. He's here for that job. The manager sighed. All right, hire him for the day. We'll see if he stays. Alejandra turned to Julian. You're hired. Damaris leaned in, whispering venomously. When I get promoted, the first thing I'll do is fire you. Alejandra didn't flinch. We'll see about that. She handed Julian a uniform and pointed down the hall. Start with the offices. The boss arrives this afternoon. Everything has to shine. He smiled. Then I'll make it shine. And as he picked up the mop, something flickered in his eyes. Not the look of a man desperate for work, but of someone quietly watching, learning and testing the people around him. The company thought he was invisible, but they had no idea who was really watching them. By noon, the office was spotless. The smell of fresh polish filled the air, and Julian was still working quietly, humming under his breath. He had cleaned the place so well that even the glass walls seemed to glow, but Damaris couldn't stand it. How calm he looked, how Alejandra smiled every time she passed by. To her, his presence was a stain money couldn't scrub away. When Julian went to get more cleaning supplies, she glanced around, then slowly opened his backpack. Her eyes widened. Inside was an envelope full of money. I knew it, she whispered. He's a thief. Without hesitation, she picked up her phone. Hello, police? I need to report a theft. The thief is right here at Mocha Studios. Minutes later, 2 officers walked in. Everyone stopped what they were doing. The sound of heels, papers, and whispers filled the air like static. That's him, Damaris said, pointing dramatically. The whole office turned to look at Julian. One of the officers stepped forward. Sir, is this your bag? Yes, he said calmly. Then please, explain where this money came from. Julian looked at the officer with steady eyes. I don't have to explain anything unless there's an official complaint. There is, Damaris snapped. He stole company money. Alejandra stepped between them. You don't have proof, she said firmly, but Damaris raised her voice. Of course she'd defend him. Maybe she's part of it too. The room fell silent. Julian's face hardened, not with anger, but disappointment. He took a slow breath. Officer, I'd like to file a complaint for defamation, invasion of privacy, and moral damage. The officer nodded slowly. He's right, miss. Opening someone's belongings without consent is a crime. Damaris froze, her confidence fading. The rest of the office looked away, embarrassed. As the officers left, Alejandra turned to him softly. Don't let her get to you, she said. Julian smiled faintly. When people believe you're poor, he said, you finally see who they really are. The next morning, the air inside Mocha Studios felt heavier than usual. Whispers traveled through every corridor. The boss is coming today. Desks were spotless, ties straightened, smiles rehearsed. Everyone wanted to look perfect. Everyone except Alejandra, who was quietly worried about Julian. He hadn't returned after yesterday's chaos. Forget him, Damaris said coldly. He got what he deserved. Alejandra sighed. No one deserves humiliation. At exactly 4 o'clock, the main doors opened. A man in a tailored suit stepped inside. His shoes clicked sharply against the marble floor. Everyone froze. The manager straightened up. "Good afternoon, sir. We didn't expect you so soon." The man smiled faintly. "Neither did I." He looked around the office, at the people who suddenly couldn't meet his eyes, and then his gaze landed on Alejandra. She gasped quietly. It was him, the janitor. But now, no mop, no worn-out clothes, no quiet tone, only presence, confidence, power. He took a step forward. "Good afternoon. My name is Julian Morales, and I am the owner of this company." The entire room went silent. Damaris's face went pale. Her voice cracked. You're the owner?" "Yes," he said simply. "Yesterday I came here looking like someone who had nothing, to see how you would treat someone who couldn't offer you anything." He paused, letting the silence burn. "Some of you offered kindness," he said, glancing at Alejandra. "Others offered humiliation." He turned to Damaris. "What you did yesterday wasn't just unprofessional, it was inhumane, and now you'll have to face what that says about you." Tears filled Alejandra's eyes, not from fear, but from pride. He looked at her and smiled softly. "You," he said, "were the only one who treated me with dignity. That says more about your character than any resume ever could." Everyone stood in stunned silence, and in that single moment they realized the man they had judged had just judged them all. The tension in the room slowly faded, replaced by a heavy silence that carried more weight than words ever could. Julian stood at the center, no longer the invisible janitor, but not quite the powerful CEO either. Just a man who had seen both sides of human nature in a single day. He looked around the room and spoke quietly. "From this moment on," he said, "I want everyone here to remember one rule: respect above everything else." He paused. "A company without values is worth nothing. You can train skill, but you can't teach compassion." Damaris looked down, her arrogance dissolving into shame. Alejandra, still standing in disbelief, whispered, "You were testing us, weren't you?" He nodded gently. "I wasn't looking for perfect employees. I was looking for people with a heart." He turned to her, eyes warm. "And you reminded me that kindness doesn't depend on wealth. It depends on courage." The rest of the office stayed silent. Some faces turned away. Others blinked back tears. "Damaris," he said calmly, "you still have a chance to change. Don't waste it." She nodded, speechless. Then he faced Alejandra again. "I owe you something," he said softly. She frowned. "You don't owe me anything." "Oh, but I do," he smiled. "At least a cup of coffee." For the first time all day, she laughed. "I guess you do." As they walked out together, the sunset poured golden light through the office windows. No words, no masks, just quiet understanding. Sometimes the richest people aren't the ones who sign paychecks. They're the ones who know the true value of a good heart. Sometimes the people we overlook are the ones silently teaching us the greatest lessons. And sometimes life disguises our blessings in the shape of a stranger. That day, a simple act of kindness exposed the truth that success without empathy means nothing, and humility is the real mark of greatness. Julian had all the money in the world, but he still needed to see who truly valued people over titles. Alejandra had very little, but she carried something priceless: compassion. So before you judge the next person standing in front of you, ask yourself, are you seeing what they wear or who they are? Moral checklist 1. Never underestimate the power of small kindness. True wealth isn't measured by money, but by empathy. 3. Don't treat people by their position. Treat them by their humanity. 4. Remember, every act of respect is an investment that never loses value. What about you? If you were in Alejandra's place, would you have helped that man before knowing who he really was? Share your thoughts in the comments, because stories like this remind us a single choice can change not just one life, but two.